BB48 Black Family, Rage First. Welcome to another episode here at the School of Urban Philosophy, where we always straight up, straightforward, and straight to the point. Let me apologize. I deeply, deeply apologize to the family. There was a time mix up on my part. I'm not in Baltimore at the moment. I'm at a conference, and I kind of mixed the times up. So that's why I'm 35, 40 minutes behind. But I do appreciate those of you who exercise patience. Patience is a virtue to an extent. You know, it has its benefits to an extent. But I'm not going to take too much of your time. Let's dive right in, and let's get it in tonight. You know, I was thinking about what I wanted to dive into with the family, and if you notice what I said tonight, I wanted to make it a free thought conversation. I wanted to talk about what I call the post-election Trump. We need to talk about Black relationships, Black families. We need to talk about Black leadership and character. Those things need to be discussed in detail, because it's very important that we be clear about specific topics. So post-Trump or the post-election Trump, because everyone is talking about, Trump. We're talking about how, you hear this conversation about how white women, betrayed Black women and didn't vote for Kamala Harris. And we're talking about how Black women, those who did vote for Kamala Harris, how they're hurt. The conversation around the Latino men, the ones that supposedly voted for Trump. And it's all this conversation about this election. And I've been sitting back, watching, listening, watching, and listening. And what I realize is that in the year 2024, we have a lot of political maturing to do. We must mature politically, because this election said a lot of things. If we're listening correctly, said a lot of things, man. One thing that it said very clearly is no one is with us. No one is with us. Because Trump never masked how he feel about Latinos or anyone. But if the polls are correct in saying that those Latino men still chose to vote for Trump, in the face of his pronouncements, what does that really says? Like, what is the language that they are communicating in that action? What's the language that's being communicated in that action? I'll tell you. They said we would rather vote for a racist bigot rather than siding with them. The them is us. Now, I don't have a complaint with them choosing Trump. That's not my issue. I'm here to give interpretation, elaboration, and clarification. I don't really care, because I know that all we have is us. All we have is us. And this is a time. This is the time for us to band together. For us to band together. And by band together, I mean we have to be very clear about what it is that we want. How we're going to go about doing it. How we're going to move. We must be supportive of one another, if nothing else. But yes, political maturing is necessary. It's very necessary, because this election and everything that's happening after this election, it's a language. It's a language that we must hear the language. We must understand the communication and be clear about it. That's what time it is. So don't get all bent out of shape because someone like a Trump is in office. In reality, every single president that we've ever had is nothing but a version of a Trump. It's simple as that. Every single one. Even the one that you called, the first black president was a version of Trump, if you understand what I'm saying. If you're really paying attention to the politics, if you're paying attention to the policies and the protocols, if you're paying attention to how the resources are allocated, if you're paying attention to who they're criminalizing in the language that they use, you will see that every single president that have ever been in the office have been a version of Trump. Have been a version of Trump. So Trump is not, I say it all the time, Trump is not some type of anomaly. That's a mistake for us to think of him that way. He's not an anomaly. Trump is the norm. Donald Trump is the norm. He's not an anomaly. He's not a political or ideological anomaly. He is a political and ideological norm within white society. He's a classic case of what it means to be white. Trump. That's who he is. And he's acting according to who he is. The problem is us. We don't recognize him. And we don't recognize him because we don't know. We don't know. We spend too much time trying to be entertained rather than being political and understanding what's really happening in the world. We want to be entertained. So let me say it again. And then I'm going to get off of this thing right here. Be very clear. Donald Trump is a norm within white society. There's nothing abnormal about that guy. And Donald Trump is no different than any other president that we've had, if you understand how they have behaved in relation to us. So all of my analysis is always centered around us, because that's the only thing that matters in politics. The only thing that really matters in politics is the group that you represent. Simple as that. It's the group that you represent. And that's the essence of politics, or what it means to be political. Your group. How do you advance your group? So I make an analysis and say that every single president is a version of Trump based on how they have behaved in relation to us. And that's all we need to know. And that's all we need to know, black man and black woman. It's time to get our crap together, man. Like this Trump, this election, this is a classic wake-up call. Wake up. Get organized. Find some group, some black group that you can vibe with, that you can resonate with, and you bring whatever you got to bring to that group, man, and make that group so that group can push us forward. No, we're not in a time period where anybody can be standing on the sidelines undecided. Man, choose a team. That's where we at, man. Pick a team. Pick a team. We don't need no black person on the sidelines being indecisive. Talking about all the reasons why you're not with organizations. Get past all of that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, granted, you had bad experiences here or there, you know what I'm saying? But I can guarantee you, you know what I'm saying? They're not all black organizations, not all bad. Get with an organization, man. Find an organization that you can work with, that you can bring something to, and that you can benefit from in terms of working for us as a people, man. Because that's what everybody else is doing. They teamed up. They teamed up and mobbed up. And we the only ones that's not understanding that politic. That politic is clear to everyone else. They are teamed up and they are mobbed up. And it's time for us to do the same. And yes, we have a whole bunch of confusion to work through. I'm clear about that. We have a whole bunch of confusion to work through. But I'm not going to spend all my time amplifying our confusion at this moment. There will be a time that we can work the confusion out. At this moment, we got to make some choices, some real life choices. And I'll be very clear. I say it all the time. Race first is simply for race first people. The philosophy of race first is for race first people. It's simple as that. So we don't have to debate it because it's for race first people. Either you race first or you're not. But we're not going to debate it. It's not debatable because it's not for every person, every black person. Yes, we say race first. We say race first to emphasize our race. But we understand that within the collective of the race, there is some treacherous stuff that's taking place. So race first as a political philosophy doesn't apply to every person. Every person can't fit that fold. However, it does apply to all those who can fit the fold, who understand the politics behind what it means to be race first. Coming out of the thinking of not just Nana Marcus Garvey, I'm coming out of the tradition of yes, Garvey, the tradition of Hubert Harrison before Garvey, the tradition of Henry Bishop McNeill Turner before Hubert Harrison. And I said it before, Henry Bishop McNeill Turner pushed the philosophy of race patriotism. He pushed race patriotism. And race patriotism is the womb out of which race first is birthed. Excuse me, I got to plug this up. Running off here. Okay, back. I didn't want the laptop to close out on me. So yes, it's about us, black man and black woman, and we coming out of a specific tradition, and we adding on to tradition. That's what this is about. And at the core of all of that is the best of African thought systems. That's where we at. The African Asili, the best of African thought system, African deep thought. That's what this is about. Complementarity, reciprocity, Ma'a, Ubuntu, Iwa Rere, Iwa Pele. We're talking about that type of stuff, that type of thinking. That's what this is about. In GAA 2, our way. And our way does not encompass everybody. It doesn't include everybody. Never have and never will. Doesn't mean that. We're talking about black human beingness. Black human beingness. That's what this is about. Right? To elevate what it means to be black and human. Right? It means to be the first being standing on the planet. The first intelligent, high intelligent being standing on the planet that we can verify. That's what that means. That's you. That's us. That's me. We don't park that somewhere. You don't apologize for that. You hold that up, man. You stand in the moment of that. Knowing who you are and knowing the traditions that you come through. Healing, we talk about healing a lot. We talk about self-care. Those things historically takes place within the context of community. It takes place in the context of community. Now, that doesn't mean that people can't have their personal time. Yes, you can have personal time. But because we live in a society that have overemphasized being separate, isolated, disjointed, that have created forms of psychological harm. That have created degrees of psychological harm, being so disjointed because the human being, which is a rational social being, require congregation, require community. We requires that. That is a necessity for us. Community is a necessity. So the best of who we are is born out of community. Our healing is born in community. To be regrounded happens in community. To be restored happens in community. Not in isolation, not in disjointedness, separateness. No. We got to get together, black man and black woman. And in getting together, we have to be able to have what? Courageous conversations with one another. We have to be able to converse with one another in a very bold and loving way that at the end of the conversation, we still love each other. That's being healthy. See, so we've learned how to avoid those bold and courageous conversations because we don't know how to pick up after the conversation. We had a conversation, then we walk away from both sides. Everybody's still mad at each other. You know what I'm saying? And then we don't reach back out to one another no more. We stop talking. We stop communicating because we mad about the conversation. That's emotional immaturity. And that's a part of the psychological harm that have happened to us. That's a part of that harm that have happened to us. It has psychologically arrested us in those areas. And what I'm submitting tonight is that we have to be able to restore that. We have to be able to grow each other up. And you can't grow up one another in isolation. We grow up in community. And by community, I mean safe, collective, communal spaces where we are in reciprocity with one another, where positive and productive energy is being exchanged in such a way that the togetherness is relational and transformative rather than transactional. That's what I mean by community. We share the same values, man. We share the same values. Yes, my brother. Yes, I am late tonight, my brother. I do apologize. I'm late because I'm in a different state, and I got caught up in the time differentiation. So so I do apologize, and I apologize early on for coming on late. But I didn't want to counsel because I didn't make it last week, and I didn't make it last week because I had to prepare to leave town last week. Even though I didn't leave town, but I was preparing to leave town. So that's why I didn't do it last week. I said, no, I don't want to counsel again this Thursday because I want to be as consistent as possible with bringing this heartfelt message to the people. So that's how we get a little late tonight. Yes, it's still alive. It doesn't apply to every person. Yes, it doesn't. Race first doesn't apply to everybody. Race first is for race first people only. Simple as that. Everybody not race first. And I'm clear about that. And you don't have to be race first. You know what I'm saying? Be whatever you're going to be. You know what I'm saying? We just need to know that in this thing that we call life, under these current conditions that have been ushered into this particular epoch that we're living in, you know what I'm saying? This highly racialized, terroristic, exploitive, oppressive, suppressive, repressive, and everything else under the sun environment that we're living in. We have to prioritize us, but the best of us, because the great mistake is this: is that everybody is going to go with us when we go. Everybody isn't going to go. That everybody is supposed to go. Everybody isn't supposed to go. The reality of the situation is that some of us are beyond repair, and that's a hard statement. That's a hard statement that I just made, but I know that to be the case, though. Some of us are beyond repair. Some of us have become so inculcated with white reality that it has damaged us permanently. We are permanently damaged. So all of us won't go with us. All of us can't go with us. All of us are not welcomed. That's the truth of where we at. That's the truth. And we must be able to speak our own revolutionary truth. Just because I say everybody can't go doesn't mean that I'm going to go out here and hunt them all down. I'm not going to hunt them all down. I'm saying that the space is for the ones who qualify for the space. And everybody don't qualify for the space. We just don't. Some of us are unwilling to do the personal work that needs to be done to prepare ourselves to be a part of the space. Some of us fight too hard to remain in a state of backwardness. Some of us will fight you tooth and nail. I was listening to an interview by Maya Angelou. I'm going to paraphrase what she said, but it was really profound what she said. So I'll paraphrase it. And she was saying how she came to the realization to know that some people will fight you very hard to remain within their place of ignorance. They will not allow you to dislodge them from ignorance at all. And I find that to be truthful as well. Some of us are consciously choosing to be un-African. Some of us are consciously choosing to be less than what we are meant to be. Some of us are consciously choosing to be traitorous. It's a conscious choice by a lot of us. And I'm okay with that. Just stay out my way. I'm okay with that. Just stay out my way. The Black family. Something else I said we needed to talk about. The Black family. The Black family have been under attack and is under attack. And now we have become perpetrators in the process of attacking the Black family ourselves. And we become perpetrators in attacking the Black family because we don't understand what the family is, the family concept, a family dynamic. We don't really understand what it means to be in family. And because we don't understand what it means to be in family, we work against the best interests of family. We don't know, nor do we understand that the family is a political unit. Yes, it's a social unit, it's a social dynamic, but it's also political. And family is also ideological. And because we don't understand that the family is political and ideological, we oftentimes behave and operate in ways that jeopardizes the family in such a way that it kills within the family, it kills the necessary traditions and the customs that once were in the Black family, because those traditions and customs played a part in moving one generation along into the role into a succeeding role within another generation. But today we've lost a lot of that, and we've lost it because we don't understand the family. We don't understand that the society we live in have created things and it propagate things to cause us to not understand how political a family is, to not understand how ideological your family is, whether you call it that or not. You know what I'm saying? Within your family, there's an ideology that's being propagated. Whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, it's there. And in most cases, in the Black families, within the Black communities, most of them are pushing a white ideology. Whether they subscribe to that consciously or not, that doesn't negate the fact of the impact of what they're doing. That's real. You know, you have people that's talking about the Bible and Christianity, and they talk about God and Jesus, and they have no clue what they're talking about. They just do it repetitiously because they assume this is what I'm supposed to do. You know, you got those types of things that's going on, and then you pushing it on to another generation, a younger generation. So now we all confused, and we're backwards. We're telling our children, oh, you can go do whatever you want to do, make your own choices. No, these children need to be guided. You know, we allowing these children, you know, to come and go as they please without structure and supervision. That's not how you rear children, man. That's not how you rear children. But that happens when you buy into the narratives that are propagated by a society that is against your best interest. That is against your best interest. The cartoons. You know, we got our children in front of these cartoons, and these cartoons are they're perverse, they're violent, they're negative. But the thing is this is how words work. So because it's called a cartoon, the assumption is that it's harmless. See, that's the politics of words and language again. Because we call it a cartoon, we just naturally assume that it's innocent and harmless. So therefore, We don't censor it, nor do we scrutinize it. We just put our children in front of it because it's a cartoon. But those cartoons are perverse, violent, nasty, negative, backwards. And you can name some other adjectives. And we have to be what? Mindful of that. I was thinking about, growing up, and I went back and just looked and thought of some of the cartoons that excuse me, this thing too loud. Some of the cartoons that I watched growing up that might, allow me to watch. And I think about it today, when I've been watching, thinking about these cartoons, it was violent. Like Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is violent. You know what I'm saying? Yosemite Sam, he carries a gun. Yosemite Sam carries a gun. And I think it's a .357 Magnum that he's running around with. And he's using that gun. Right? Porky Pig, you know what I'm saying? They blowing Porky Pig up, you know what I'm saying? Dropping anvils on people's head. Tom and Jerry, like those cartoons were violent. And we learned that violence in those cartoons. We learned that violence at a young age. And we perpetrated that violence on one another at a young age. But once again, because it was a cartoon, the assumption is that it was innocent. It's harmless. No, the brain isn't saying it's a cartoon or it's not a cartoon. The brain is what? The brain is taking in sensory. It's taking in sensory. Whether that sensory is coming from a computer, a TV, or real life. The brain is taking in sensory, right? It's processing imageries, and it's interpreting those imageries within the brain computer. And those things, the interpretations inside the mind becomes what? A database. So the images become a part of the database that you draw from. You draw from that. So you learn how to do something devilish to your younger brother because you was watching a cartoon. And in the cartoon, you thought it was funny. You thought it was funny. So because you thought it was funny, you sought to replicate the action. So you replicated the action because you thought it was funny, but the action really is a violent act. But that's the politics of language, man. And I'm just sharing something here, man, for us to think about it, man. But let me know if y'all follow me so far, man. Fill me in, man. Talk to me. Talk black to me, black man and black woman. I need to hear some energy, Bring some energy in the house. Let me know if I'm making any sense. Where we at over there? Come on, stay alive. Talk to me, stay alive. Come on, brother Sakati. OG Monk. Let's go. Come on, man. My critical thinker right here. Black men in Africa. Let me know, man. Peace. Yes. Come on. Let's talk to me. Talk black to me. That's what this is about. It's about bringing clarity to, real reality. Because oftentimes we're not clear in reality. A BB40A, Zenzi, a BB40A. Peace, my brother. I appreciate that. I'll keep it rocking. I'm just trying to, doing this work is to open up and to stretch this mind, to get us to look at this thing in a real critical and clear way. So I want to get back to that black family because that black family is critical to the work that needs to be done. Like there is no real organizing work when we're not organizing the family. Let me be very clear. A lot of us not going to be able to organize our biological families, the families that we came out of, because there's a lot of damage in there. There's a lot of historical damage that's in those families. So what you can do, where possible, you can maintain peace and you can maintain some type of a level of civility. But the families that you are giving birth to, like those families got to be reared differently. Those families have to be reared differently. You can't rear your children the way you was reared. And you can't take how you was reared as the model. You have to look outside of that. You have to find more productive models on your own that you can find and through your own study and your research. But like I say always, the best models for black people are black models. And by black, I'm talking about African people. on the continent, understanding who we were before the invasions, before Islam came in. Because we always skip around talking about Islam. Islam get a free pass too much. And they get a free pass because a lot of the people that we look up to, that we love and respect, they practice Islam in some form. And so oftentimes, because they practice Islam in some form and we respect them, like we love Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying? Omar Wiley, I love him to death. Profound brother, man. You know, he was right on time. And he let you know he was a Muslim. So we oftentimes give Islam a pass, but I don't give Islam a pass. See, the Islam don't get a pass on my watch. Islam was what? It was barbaric in Africa. It was savagery in Africa. You know what I'm saying? And yes, Islam was imposed on black people. It was forced upon us. Yes, with a sword. We oftentimes want to just skip around that. You know what I'm saying? Islam was raping, robbing, slaughtering, and murdering in Africa before that white beast got there. At the level, I'm talking about that new age white beast, the Britons, you know what I'm saying, the Frenchmen, the Portugal ones, all of them, the Germany. Before that segment of them Europeans got there, you had Islam there. That's who was there. So that's the reason why we look at the top part of Africa, it look as pale as it look. It look as pale as it look because what? Those pale Arabs ran across the northern parts of Africa waging war. That's what they done. They can't get a pass, man. We can't give nobody a pass that have harmed us. You know, that's a part of our narratives. We tell our story. Even black people who have harmed us, they don't get a pass either. We tell our story. We tell our story. But the one thing I would never do is this. I would never say that black traders have harmed us to the degree that Islam and Christianity under white people have done. I would never make it equivalent. I don't give black traders a pass, but I would never try to equivalate what blacks have done to what these other people have done. Because when you do that, when you magnify and you lift up your traders and you try to make your traders equal to invaders, before you know it, the invaders will be absorbed. And then the sole focus will be on you and your own people. And at some point, you will become people who are being convicted by people who harmed you, but they'll be using your traders as the sole perpetrators of your destruction. And that's not the case. Black people didn't pull up beside African countries in ships. They didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Yes, some black people were manipulated and utilized in the exchange, but black people didn't institute no chattel enslavement in Africa. There's no history. There was no narrative that can support that. And nobody out there can substantiate that. You know what I'm saying? Chattel enslavement was not, that is not an African conception. It's not our conception. You know what I'm saying? Understand the history of that thing the correct way. That's not us. We didn't do that. Yes, black people became traders at some point and worked on some levels, a very small minority. You know what I'm saying? So we're not going to focus on, you know what I'm saying, traders and make it seem like traders, you know what I'm saying, are as great as these invaders. Hell no. Not on my watch. We won't tell the story that way. That's not an accurate story. That story right there is a lie. Tell the truth, you know what I'm saying? Black people ain't went across and enslave us all through the Sahara and trade us and send us all across the Mediterranean and cut our nuts and penises off. We ain't do all of that until we encountered them Europeans and them Arabs. You know what I'm saying? That ain't us. That's not our practice. They made us into eunuchs, not us. So we got to be very clear what's happening. Very clear what's happening out here. Right? There's a thing that Dr. Wade Nobles talk about, and I like to repeat it, but I want everybody to know that Dr. Wade Nobles talks about it. But I like to repeat the saying because it's very important. He talked about this thing he called the grand white narrative. And I like to say, you know what I'm saying, that grand white narrative is what they have blanketed the world with. You know, they have positioned themselves in all the correct places to tell a narrative. And the narrative that they tell is always beneficial to them and non-beneficial to others. Even when they tell it, even when they are the ones that's trying to tell our truth. If you listen, excuse me, even when they are the ones attempted to tell our truth, if you listen with a political ear, you will always hear the slant. They are incapable of telling our truth. Incapable of telling our truth. Yes, every now and then they want to act as if they sympathize, and they do these conferences and these conventions, and they talk the race issues, the race equity, and all that. They use the phrase words, and we buy into it. Oh yes, race equity. You know what I'm saying? Racial solidarity. You know, race is a construct, man. We need to stop focusing on race, man. Race need to just go away altogether. We just parrot what they say. That's that white narrative that the doc is talking about. That's that white narrative that the doc is talking about. How you going to separate race from class or race from sexism? How you going to separate that, right? Because they're all interlocked. So they're all interlocked. And if you look at them correctly, because you have, you know what I'm saying? I have a diary. I forget the white boy name, but I have the diary of the guy who traveled with Henry. They call him Henry the Navigator. I just like to call him Henry, right? That's because that's all he is to me is Henry. Well, no damn navigator. He was an invader. He was a robber. He was a cook. So that's what I call him. But I have the diary of the white boy. In fact, he was a priest by their standards. He traveled with Henry, and in his diary, he talks about, and this is before the quote unquote construction of what they call race, right? This is before the construction of what they call race. This white boy is talking about, you know what I'm saying? The quote unquote inferiority, the savagery, the bestiality of black people in Africa. You know what I'm saying? He's making a distinction there. And this is before the construction. So we got to be very careful about what we're saying and what we repeat. And that's why Malcolm X was on point. He say history is best qualified to reward all research. A lot of us do not study enough, and we don't listen to those amongst us who has studied enough to help us become clear about what's going on. We just parrot what's in vogue. If it's in vogue, we say it. And we keep saying it because it's in vogue. You know, don't parrot nothing they say. You know, nothing they say. We tell our story the way we choose to tell our story. That's what this comes down to. Let's see what we're talking about here. T.A. Hawkins. Well, you can always see the people who talk the most about race have no class. So the time frame of the diary, good question. So the time frame of the diary is in the 1400s. Like I'm not in my home right now. Like I'm somewhere else. I don't have the diary on hand, but it's in the 1400s though. But I can always follow back around with you if you want all of that information though. Send, you know, when we conclude, if you send or if you just put a post on this video, I'll see the post. As if you post as a reminder, I'll see it and I can respond to it for you. Sounds like race baiting. X warned us about it. Not sure if I follow that. You know, if you can add some context, that'll be beautiful. Their narrative is always mired in European consciousness. Yes, no doubt, without a doubt. Yeah, but my point is, we have the work that we have to do is multi-layered. It's our work is multi-layered work, and our existence is there's really no precedence for our situation when we look at that human society. So the work that we have to do is work that's multi-layered. We have to do a number of things simultaneously which isn't easy to do. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to be in the midst of muck and mire. And while you're in the midst of muck and mire, you have to figure out a way to restore yourself and center yourself. It's not an easy thing to do. It's doable, but it's not easy to do. I'm of the mindset that one of our best methodologies is to build family-centered organizational structures. Yeah, family-centered structures. Those family-centered structures is always the best route. We build them, and by family-centered structure, I mean organizational platforms where we are together, and within that togetherness, we are building families, and the families are coming together. The families are welding together. The families are coming together and building the organizational structures. When you band like that, it makes it stronger, makes us stronger as a people. It allows us to be more effective at doing the work that needs to be done. But yes, it's multi-layered work, though. It's multi-layered work. It's a lot of work, not easy, but doable, noble, rewarding, all of those things. All of those things. We just have to dive in. And we have to be consistently in a process of self-renewal. No other way. Yes, no doubt. We have to remain in the process of self-renewal, correcting ourselves, evaluating ourselves, checking our own thinking, our own thoughts, man. Not assuming that we have arrived, because, people always thinking it's about, trying to arrive at a space. It's not about trying to arrive at a space, man. It's about trying to create internal balance within yourself. Because the healing that everyone is talking about is nothing but balance and harmony, internal balance and harmony. If you cultivate that, then you're going to feel good about yourself. If you can create that type of balance and harmony within your being, you're going to feel good. You're not going to walk around feeling like the weight of the world is on you. You're not going to have all that stuff on you. You're not going to feel like everybody is talking about you or everybody's working against you. If you focus on getting yourself right on the inside, you can turn your attention onto you and stay engaged within a process of self-evaluation, man, correcting yourself when and where necessary, making no excuses for your shortcomings, and offering no justifications for those shortcomings. Because every time you excuse and justify shortcomings, the only thing you do is provide refuge for those shortcomings within your character, man. That's all you do. Every time you justify your shortcomings, you're giving it refuge within you. You are solidifying it within yourself. Make no excuses, man. Stay self-corrective. Stay self-engaged. Be in the process. Allow yourself to be transformed. Understand that things are not always going to go as you plan for things to go. Understand things are not always going to be easy. There's going to be some pushback. There's going to be some challenge. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. Don't mean it's bad because it's pushback and challenge. It means that it's something you just got to work through or work over. Do you find more single mothers who are ready than they are brothers? That's a great question. That's a great question. It's a beautiful question. In my experience, it does appear to be more Black women, single, like you say, mothers, it does appear that way. That they are, if by ready, before I answer your question, clarify what you mean when you say ready. And then I can answer more accurately, because I might be thinking you mean something else. So let me know what you mean by ready, then I'll answer that question. We have to understand how many cells we have. Yes. I've been working on a psychological model that I call the multi-self approach, the multi-self development approach. And within that model, the multi-self development model, I argue that we have 5 cells. And I'm not saying it's absolute. I'm just sharing a model, because that's what I do. I develop systems and processes to address our situation. So within the multi-self development model, I argue that we have 5 cells, and I'll define those 5 cells. And for all my students out there, those of you who have been engaging me and follow me, I want you to tell me next week these 5 cells. I'm going to see how attentive you are. So the 5 cells that I argue that we have, those cells are the social self, the mental self, your physical self, your psychological self, and your spirit self. Your spirit self. The spirit self is your core self. Your core self is the spirit self, and all the other selves are animations from the core self. But those other selves are essential to how we operate and how we engage the world around us. And it's very important that we are able to give each one of those cells attention in terms of its specific development, because the cells do not develop in tandem, meaning they don't develop simultaneously together. But we have to be intentional about examining ourselves to the degree that we are paying attention to each self, and we are applying attention to the cells in terms of facilitating its development. So our physical self doesn't develop in the same pace as the social self. And your social self doesn't develop in tandem with your mental self. But we have to be able to pay attention to each of those cells and give it the necessary nutrients it needs so those cells can develop. So that's my argument. That's a part of the multi-self development model that I've been developing for about, give or take, 12 years now. It's a great model and understanding, multi-self development. So you say mentally, emotionally, spiritually mature and dedicated to strength. Yes. So because I think more sisters, in my opinion, I tend to find more sisters that are ready. And what I believe that's because when I engage these sisters, most of them have experienced hardships, letdowns, and traumas that they are identifying and they are ready to rectify in some capacity. So because they are ready to rectify, the hardship, the hurt, the letdown, the loss, or whatever, it makes them more ready and prone. Whereas most of the brothers that I tend to encounter, we're not ready to rectify the things that harm us. We hide it. We're not open with our hurts, our injuries, because this, once again, the white narrative tells you that you can't be. It tells you, black man, you better be a robot. Black man, you better be mechanical. Isn't that what Ralph Ellison said? He said the white man's greatest creation was the black man, the mechanical man, jokingly, but at the same time making a profound statement. So yes, I think more sisters be ready. I think more sisters be ready because of their hurt, and they're ready to address it. And I think brothers oftentimes want to hide their hurt, want to hide their shortcomings, want to hide the things they're struggling with. So because they're hiding, they're less inclined. Brothers walk around brothers have a different type of energy that's going on inside them. Brothers tend to be more angry, whereas sisters aren't as angry. Brothers are coming in contact more readily with society in a different way. And because they come in contact with society in a different way, they've experienced things that challenges them in the regards of being organizationally centered. Because to be organizationally centered, you have to be willing to do what? To comply. And if you live in a society that tells you, boy, when you're 18, you're a man, you can do what you want to do, it's hard to get in line. It's hard to get in line when you're 25 and you got to become a part of this structure, and you got a person over here that's in a position, that you have to be in a formation. That's hard to do on a lot of levels, So yeah, I think that is that on some levels. So a sister has spoken. She said, the sisters have not had it as hard as the brothers. A sister has spoken. We bow down to you, my sister. We bow down to you, my sister. A sister has spoken. Beautiful. The sisters have also been against the brothers in many ways. You need to talk about that, sister. I'm going to drop the link. You will come on here. You're going to show your face tonight. Show your face. We're going to talk about that. See if she... I do apologize. My screen is a little blurry. I thought you was my sister from Tampa, Florida. I apologize 1,000%. I do apologize. I never want to insult anyone. That's never my intent. I do apologize. It's a little blurry. I thought you was my sister from Tampa. But I appreciate the correction, and I appreciate the thoughts. You weighing in. It's always necessary to get us to weigh in. But yeah, so that would be my answer to that question, my brother, about that, And then in some instances, I find, sometimes I find brothers, I think it varies. There are many different dynamics at play, what we're looking for in a particular moment. And I also think it has a lot to do with what a person have experienced at that particular time period. I think that a person can experience something that impacts them in a very significant way, and that experience compels them to want to be a part of a structure. And then I think there's those instances where people experience things that impact them in a way that makes them less inclined to be a part of a structure. So I think that it varies on a lot of different levels. But at the end of the day, I do believe that we all should be linked in some type of way into some type of structure. I think it's good for character. I think it's good for growth and development. I think it's good for family. I think it's good for us as a people. I think we should be, connected on some levels, some higher levels. We should. It's very important. So those of you who are in the chat, man, if you have not, liked the video, please like the video, share the video, make your comments, post on the video, make a post on the video. Let's get this content out, because many of you are pretty consistent. You're here with me, every Thursday. Granted, I missed last Thursday, but you, for the most part, you are here with me on Thursdays. There's a commitment to this channel, and I appreciate that, because I come back because of you, and you keep coming back, I'm assuming, because of me. So that's a reciprocal relationship. So now we have a reciprocal relationship. So this channel is our channel now. It's not just Bob Imhotep's channel. This is our channel. So as much as I am consistent in terms of trying to pour into it to get the content to get out, I'm asking you to do the same, because we're here together. We're building this content together. Your energy, your questions, your feedback, your statements, all that matters. It's necessary. So like the video, like it. Please like it and share the video. If you are located here in Baltimore City or anywhere near Baltimore City, you want to be here this Sunday, November the 24th at 3 p.m. at the Unity Hall on Utah Street. We will be hosting our third annual Umoja Kabamu celebration, which is Unity Feast. The Umoja Kabamu celebration was inaugurated in the early 1970s by Dr. Edward Sims. as a way and a means to reinstill solidarity back into the Black family through symbolism, ritual narrative, and family. And that's what it's about. That's another one of our traditional, holy days or holidays, whatever you want to call it. It's our celebration. Many of us don't know about it. If you don't know about it, please learn about it and make sure you are part of it. I'm going to put it in the chat. So put it in the chat, the Umoja Kavamu. Learn about it, study it, man. Get down with it. We need to know as much as we can know about us. And as you learn more about what it means to be you, to be Black, to be African, disengage yourself from them. That's the key. Like Amilcar Cabral talks about, in Return to the Source. He speaks about culture and how culture is a political tool, is a weapon. And one of the things that he speaks about is oppression, because in this time period, he was fighting, Portugal, the Portuguese, who were being their normal selves in Africa at this time period. They were being very violent, oppressive, colonists, and all other things. And so what he said is this: he said, people can only remain oppressed to the degree that they accept the oppressor's culture. That's it. That's very simple. You can only remain oppressed to the degree that you accept the oppressor's culture. The moment you decide you're not going to accept their culture and you're going to return to your culture, in that moment, you begin your long walk to freedom. In that instance, we're not saying it's going to happen instantaneously, but the moment you reject their culture and begin to retrieve yours and return to yours, you begin your long walk to freedom in that instance. And so, and that's what it's about. We got to be very, 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 very clear about that. So you say, oh, what's it? Let me see this. Oh, Amilcar. Amilcar. Oh, trying to write it. Okay, we go. So I just put it in the chat. That's the brother that I'm talking about from he was profound brother, engineer by trade, turned revolutionary, fought the Portuguese, but he got some profound stuff out there, things that he came to understand and learn and saw, which is very important. So as you learn about the Umoja Kavamu, dislodge yourself from them. That's the key. Keep returning to your stuff, man. Keep returning to your source. And no person gonna know it all. We keep returning. As you are introduced to it, you adopt it. As you are introduced to our stuff is us. Adopt it. Make it a part of your practice. Make it a part of your behavior. It's called Umoja Kavamu, Unity Feast. Unity Feast. That's what this is for, man. It's a family affair, a communal affair. We have it here in Baltimore City, and we're trying to get as many people to come out and be a part of it as possible. It's not our event. Oftentimes, we want to stay away from events because that's their event. I'm not going on to their event. No, we just spearheading the charge. It's a community event. Come be in it. Come be in the spirit of community. You want to add something to it? Reach out. Let us know what you want to add to it, how you want to be involved. I'm not against any of that. Come collaborate. Come build with us. Come host it. That's what you want to do. But we're saying, let's get this work done. Let's get this work done. So, it's now 10:36 on your side of town. I don't want to keep anyone any longer. I appreciate you guys, man, for waiting around for me and being here, just rocking and rolling and vibing. But keep this in mind, like I said about 2-3 minutes ago, we are in a reciprocal relationship. You guys, rely on me to show up as I rely on you to show up, as an expectation of me to fulfill my obligations to you. And I'm quite sure you have an expectation. I got an expectation of you. It's reciprocal at this point. It's very relational and it's very transformational. So let's build on that Let's share this video. Let's like the video. Let's get the content out. Our website, PLM. So you said your book is almost finished. Any pointers on selling your book? Wow. That's a great question. Not sure where you are located at. So I'll speak. So I'm gonna speak from in a general sense. So if you can apply, but I'll speak very general. So typically what you would want to do, I don't know what platform you use. So when I put my books out, like all my latest books, you're in California. So my last 3 books that I put out, I didn't put them on Amazon. So that's just me. Most people put their books on Amazon because it's a large platform. So I'm not telling you to do that or not. So I'm gonna speak for me. So my last 3 books, they're not on Amazon. The book that I'm about to put out, it won't be on Amazon. I built the website, used the website, and I largely use, a black book, distributors that's located here in Baltimore City. Everyone is going to say something different. That's why I'm not saying not to, but I got to speak from my point of view. So I've published 6 books. 6 books. My first 3 books were on Amazon because I used a company called Create Space. That company doesn't exist anymore, but that company was an affiliate of Amazon. So when that company, when Amazon decided to collapse that company, and then, those books would naturally went to Amazon. So I'm gradually getting them off of Amazon. So I don't use Amazon, but I'm not saying that if you do, I'm not saying that's a fault either, but I'm speaking from where I'm at. I don't use Amazon because I can sell. I don't use Amazon because I don't use Amazon because I can sell them without Amazon. So that's why I don't use. Somebody said the company sucks. I guess they talk about Amazon. I'm not here to argue for Amazon. So, and I'm not even advocating for Amazon, but I'm trying to just answer this brother question, real openly and honestly. I don't want to discourage someone that's just trying to. It's his first book, so whatever route he chooses to take, that's his. He can do that. But I wanted to speak from my point of view and my perspective. I think one of the best ways to sell your book is to keep your book in people's faces. Talk about your book as much as you can. Try to find platforms. Create space. Okay, I appreciate the clarity. Yes. Yes, so I appreciate the clarity. So yes, man, talk as much as you can about your book. Try to get on as many platforms you can get on about your book. Post your book, as much as you can, and see if you can contact bookstores. Try to contact bookstores and see if you can get your book in bookstores. Do not make the mistake of putting your book in several bookstores that are located in close proximity of one another. Because what that's going to do is going to work against you. So don't put your books in, because sometimes we make that mistake. We just jam our stuff everywhere, and now you got your books competing against each other. No, you don't want to do that, right? So you can find one bookstore that's cool. Use that bookstore. You can find another one that's a nice distance away. Then yeah, that's cool. But don't use a bunch of bookstores that's close by. Do not do that. Most definitely do bookstores. Most bookstores are going to do 60-40 split. They're going to do a 60-40 split, meaning that they're going to take 40% and you get the 60% of the profits. Most bookstores, that's like a general rule that's out there. It's like a general rule. But yes, build a page. If it's your first book, build a page around that book. Build a page around that book. Then let the book be whatever you're talking about. Let that book become an authority. You know what I'm saying? Then you use that as a consistent talking point. Every time you open your mouth, talk from your book. Talk from your book, and that gradually will get the book out. You got to do a lot of consistent posting, and then your book. You're going to have to, let me put this up front. You're going to have to invest money. beyond the money that you invest in publishing the book, you're going to have to invest money in the area of advertising that book, meaning that you're going to have to go out and vend at places with your book, and you have to pay that vending fee. Sometimes it might be $50, sometimes it might be $75. You assess as to whether or not you want to pay that based on the event. Try to get some history on the event. If it's an event that's been running for a very long time, there's a strong possibility that your $50 is worth the investment, because you're going to get some people out and you can sell your book. And I think you always going to sell your book best when you are able to talk to people directly about your book. I like to vend my books, and that's why I sell my books at best, through vending. And I can also refer people to my website, which is www.epetesutbooks.com. So that's my bookstore website, But hopefully I said something that you can use. I don't profess to be an expert in that area, but I did want to give you some advice from doing this work for a little while. Hopefully something was useful. I tend not to talk without making an effort to be useful. So as we're about to close out, as always, I'd like to remind everyone that the School of Urban Philosophy is a space where we pride ourselves on bringing you accurate information to empower you, to uplift you, and to advance you. We're always straight up, straightforward, and straight to the point. So until next Thursday, and yes, I am going live next Thursday because I do not celebrate that day. So hopefully you don't celebrate that day either. You're not somewhere with a big chicken bone in your mouth and some stuffing in your other hand, you know what I'm saying? And some candy yams dripping. Nah, man. Come to the School of Urban Philosophy. We can get it in. Come get fed that way. So until next time, my Black family, be Hodie and race first.